Okay, so now we're at the back of the shop. We've set up, we're going to shoot into the Beast, which is a military surplus trap. Okay, so here's the hole from my SIG Mosquito 22 caliber subsonic ammo going through a 10-pound block of clay. It did exit through the rear and it hit the piece of wood. It was angled, the trap angles up, so it hit the bottom, but it did go through and it broke through the wood behind it. I would not shy away from getting a 22 if that's what you're comfortable with. There's nothing wrong with a 22. I'm going to move on to my Ruger Blackout 357. I'll be shooting a 38 special. This is a cowboy load, moving about 750 feet per second. We measured this, it's somewhere between 1 3/4 inches, and then it kind of actually opens up inside to maybe a 2-inch hole inside. Went all the way through, of course, and the bullet got caught in the wood that was behind it, and we actually have the actual bullet that I just fired. So this would tell me this is a great home defense round. It's not going to over penetrate, but it's definitely going to do some damage. Okay, so now we're moving on to a 300 Blackout AR pistol. I'm shooting a 208 grain 300 Blackout subsonic through a suppressor, so we're not going to use ears. Let's see what happens here. Blackout subsonic was a 208 grain moving about 1,000 feet per second out of an AR pistol. It had a smaller impact on the 10-pound block of clay, but it had much more damage to the wood behind it.
Shooting a 115 grain standard velocity 9mm out of the Smith & Wesson GVE. Okay, a standard velocity 9mm round is moving somewhere around 1,250 feet per second. This was the entry hole. This was the exit hole. Okay? And then the bullet itself was caught in the wood. We get the increased cavitation with this, as opposed to the 300 Blackout, because of the increased velocity. You're talking about a bullet that's moving almost 300 feet per second faster. Also, the ballistic profile of the 300 Blackout bullet, it's a much narrower, longer, thinner bullet. It's going to have more initial penetration. The 300 Blackout bullet did more damage to the wood than this. But again, you can see that the 9mm is not a round to take lightly. Tomcat ammo, 230 grain Christmas 45. First thing I should say is that the clay from the trap sprayed about 15-20 feet back in the direction towards me. I just pulled a whole bunch out of my hair. I've got some on my shoe. This is the entrance cavity. That's the exit cavity. As you can see, I can fit my fist in through it. 230 grain bullet. Twice the size of the 9mm, but moving about 500 feet per second slower. And the bullet was stopped by the board. Okay? So if you can see that there's a lot of initial damage with a 45, but it's not going to over penetrate. While my courageous friends run for the hills to go out front, I'll be shooting a 44 Magnum out of a large frame Smith & Wesson revolver. The lights will be out. We're going to try to capture the flame from the front of the gun. Okay, first of all, I don't know if you can see, but I'm basically covered in clay. My glasses got knocked off. I actually pulled a piece of the bullet from out of my shirt. But that's basically the cavitation of a 44 Magnum. went through the clay, went through the board, smashed up on the trap, flew back at me, went around the block, got a cup of coffee. I mean, so that's what a 44 Magnum's gonna do.